They were trusted with royal secrets. They guarded palace doors. They raised princes. Some controlled entire empires. But first, they were destroyed. Not killed. Destroyed. This is the story of eunuchs, men who lost their bodies to serve power. Most people think eunuchs were just servants. That is one of history's biggest lies. Eunuchs were created through violence, then placed at the center of political power. They lived close to kings, slept inside palaces, and handled the most sensitive affairs of empires. They were everywhere. Imperial China, the Ottoman Empire, ancient Persia, Byzantium, Africa. Different cultures. Same system. Cut the man. Control the palace. So what exactly is a eunuch? A eunuch is a male who has been castrated, usually before adulthood, meaning his testicles, and sometimes his entire genitals, were removed. This wasn't symbolic. It was surgical. Often without anesthesia. Often performed by crude blades. And often done to boys. Some were prisoners of war. Some were kidnapped. Some were sold by desperate families. Others were punished for crimes. But many were deliberately created for one purpose: to serve rulers without the risk of loyalty to bloodlines. Because a man who cannot produce children cannot start a dynasty. That made eunuchs valuable and expendable. The procedure itself was horrific. In ancient China, full castration meant removing everything. The wound was packed with herbs or ash. The boy was forced to walk afterward to prevent clotting. Many bled to death. Many died from infection. Those who survived were permanently altered. Their voices stayed high. Their bodies grew soft. Their bones weakened. They could never live normal lives again. But survival gave them something else. Access. Inside royal palaces, no man was allowed near royal women. Except eunuchs. They became gatekeepers of harems. Messengers between rulers and queens. Caretakers of princes. They heard everything. Saw everything. And slowly, they learned how power really worked. In Imperial China, eunuchs controlled palace schedules. Who saw the emperor? When meetings happened? Which documents reached his desk? Some emperors trusted eunuchs more than ministers. Why? Because eunuchs had no families. No sons. No obvious ambitions. At least, that's what rulers believed. But power always finds a way. Some eunuchs became monsters of influence. Zhao Jiao of the Qin dynasty helped overthrow an emperor. Wei Zhongxian practically ruled China during the Ming dynasty, executing rivals and building temples to himself. In the Ottoman Empire, the chief black eunuch controlled access to the Sultan and the entire imperial harem. These men commanded armies, controlled treasuries, decided life and death, all after losing their manhood. But for every powerful eunuch, there were thousands who lived in misery. Most performed endless labor, cleaning corridors, guarding doors, standing silently for hours. They were mocked for their voices, feared for their proximity to power, despised for what they had become. They belonged nowhere. Not fully men. Not accepted by society. They existed between worlds. Their psychological suffering was immense. Many were taken as children and never saw their families again. They lived surrounded by luxury they could not enjoy. They watched emperors have children they could never have. They raised princes who would grow up to command them. Imagine that. Teaching a boy to walk, knowing he will one day outrank you. Some eunuchs tried to adopt. Others raised birds. Some became obsessed with wealth. Some turned cruel. History records eunuchs as both loyal protectors and ruthless tyrants. But all of them shared one thing. Their bodies were the price of admission. And death didn't bring peace. In many cultures, eunuchs were buried separately. Some believed they could not enter the afterlife properly. In China, eunuchs preserved their removed organs in jars, hoping to be buried whole someday. Even in death, they wanted to feel human again. So why did rulers keep this system for thousands of years? Simple. Eunuchs were perfect tools. They couldn't start families. They depended entirely on palace life. They had everything to lose. That made them obedient. Until obedience turned into influence. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Eunuchs were not accidents of history. They were products of design. Empires engineered them. Power required them. They were living proof that civilizations were willing to destroy bodies to protect thrones. Today, we talk about ancient cruelty like it's distant. But the logic hasn't changed. Control the body. Control loyalty. Control access. That formula built empires. Eunuchs were just one of its most extreme expressions. They lived close to kings. They shaped history from shadows. They paid with flesh. And when their usefulness ended, they disappeared quietly. No monuments. No bloodlines. No legacy. Just records in dusty archives. Kings are remembered by crowns. Generals by victories. But eunuchs, by absence. By what was taken. By what never was. And now, you know their story.